Women are always assured of paternity. That's not a thing that they ever have to worry about, right? They know it's their baby because it's coming out of them, right?
Yeah.
Men are the only ones who are ever going to have doubts about paternity. They're the only ones.
Would you be offended if he asked you for a paternity test?
I would say yes, because it shows that he doesn't trust me. Because I feel like at that stage in marriage, it's like, if you don't trust me, then you shouldn't be with me.
I've got something to say about this whole trust thing, but we'll let everyone give their answers first.
Yeah, I'd be offended. And I think it would break something for sure. I'm not saying I wouldn't do it, but that I think that would mean there are other issues, like there is something to talk about. But yeah,
So
I'd
would
be
you
offended.
refuse the paternity test?
No, I said I'm not sure I would refuse it, but I think it would break something because the trust is.
Would you refuse it?
I would do it.
You would
just
do
to
it,
show proof.
but it would destroy your trust, right?
Yes.
Okay. Would you do a paternity test?
I would, but I would be upset that he doesn't trust me.
You'd be upset?
Yeah.
Okay, what about you?
Yeah, I'd do it.
Would you be upset at all?
Honestly, thinking about it, not really. Just because at that stage, I know if I know my partner well and he's like a little bit anxious as a person, I'm just like, okay, you know what? Just to give you peace of mind, here, we'll do it. And then if he gets his answer and he's like, oh, thank the Lord, and I'm like, okay, like you just wasted money and time just to do this test, but whatever, like move on.
To be honest, I think that's a pretty fair answer, but I wouldn't necessarily say it was a waste of time or money, just because the test came back saying the guy was the father, because peace of mind is priceless.
Okay.
Yeah.
Your thoughts?
I would do it, but I do feel if there is no reason to not be trusted, I guess if I gave him a reason for him not to trust me, then I do feel that's valid. But even asking for it, I do feel it's going to ruin a lot for our relationship.
Would it end the relationship if you asked for one?
Emotionally, I'm not sure about.
You got to speak into the microphone.
I'm not sure about like physically end the relationship, but definitely emotionally for me.
Wait, it would emotionally end the...
Like the connection between
Wait, it
us.
wouldn't physically end the relationship? So you guys would still but you wouldn't be in love? Is that what you're saying?
I mean, if we were having a child together, I wouldn't necessarily... I would try to find an alternative before, I guess, getting a divorce. But in terms of the emotional connection with my husband, it would break that trust agreement between us.
I have no idea as to what any of that means. You're either going to work on whatever issues arise from your partner asking for a paternity test, or you're not. And you're going to let your marriage die a slow and silent death. This whole emotional death thing is a meaningless answer, at least to me.
What about you?
I would take it. I don't think I would be that offended, to be honest. I mean, I do think, like a lot of other people mentioned, that it would be kind of a problem that we need to talk about. And I would definitely want to know where is this coming from, because I don't think those things ever come from nothing. But I would take it.
Okay, I know I said that I'd let everyone give an answer first before I talk about this whole trust thing, but I can't wait anymore. Anyway, just because someone trusts their partner 100%, it doesn't mean their partner isn't cheating on them. Not everyone who cheats on their wife or husband gets caught. And the truth is, a lot of people get away with it. And sometimes they do so without even giving their partner a reason to suspect them. In my own life, there are a couple of instances that I know of in which a woman has cheated on her husband with a coworker, got pregnant during the affair, and the unknowing husband has no idea about it. These affairs didn't last particularly long, and the two individuals I have in mind right now never spoke to each other when they weren't in the office, and they only hooked up during lunch, immediately after work, or whenever we had office parties. Some of the ladies on this panel said their partner shouldn't ask for a paternity test if they haven't given him a reason to suspect they've been cheating. But people who are good at playing the field can quite easily get away with something like this without ringing alarm bells. If you read the subreddit for cheaters who talk about how they've been having an affair, sometimes for many years, you'll probably be terrified by how easy it is for some people. I always say, If you're the sort of guy who'd want a paternity test done if you have a child, you should bring it up way early in the relationship, not at the last minute. Will this lessen the blow? Maybe, maybe not. But it's better than asking for the first time when the child's already been born.
I take it. I think it's way bigger than just a relationship.
You wouldn't be upset or...
Maybe a little bit, but I don't think I'd be upset after like a while.
Anissa?
I would take it, but it would definitely be like hurtful, and it would also like indicate, like you said, like a deeper issue.
Yeah.
Andrew, any thoughts on the...
Yeah, I'd like to ask a slightly different question. What if he went ahead and took a paternity test without your knowledge? And then you found out about it, would that upset you?
Yes. It's the same. I mean, it's worse, even.
Yeah, but if he knew that maybe perhaps you'd had discussions about this or something like this.
Mm-hmm.
If he knew that you were against this, or you thought that somehow this was him bringing your integrity into question, and so in order to spare that, right, this is perhaps he's anxious on his own part or whatever, for whatever reason, he decided that he would just go ahead and do this on his own to establish paternity in order to not upset you. Isn't he kind of in a catch-22 there?
I mean, depending on where you live, you can quite easily get a paternity test done in secret. And if you're shown to be the father, there'd never be a reason to bring it up.
Right, isn't he in a catch-22? Either he tells you about it and you get super upset, so he has to do that.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, what are his options at that point?
Yeah, I mean, if he doesn't tell you, I mean, what you don't know doesn't hurt you, but
right,
like doing anything behind your, communication and trust is that, because even you said like it's bigger than the relationship. I mean, trust is the relationship, in my opinion. If I don't trust someone or my friends, what am I having? Why would I be in the relationship with them? So
she's right. If you don't or can't trust someone, there's no reason for you to be in a relationship with them. But as I said earlier, two things can be true at the same time. You can trust your partner with everything you have, but it doesn't mean they're not sleeping with other people.
Yeah, I understand that, but I'm not looking at this from your perspective. I'm trying to look at it from the other person's perspective. So women are always assured of paternity. That's not a thing that they ever have to worry about, right? They know it's their baby because it's coming out of them, right?
Yeah.
Men are the only ones who are ever going to have doubts about paternity. They're the only ones. Since that is the case, if they wanted the peace of mind of a paternity test, which since almost all forms of family go from father to son, including the last name living on, I understand why men want a paternity established, especially now that we can do it. And for most of human history, we couldn't. I'm not even sure that, I'm not even sure. I don't think that it even has anything to do with whether or not they trust their partner, but rather it's just peace of mind. So if you set up the option of, if you asked me for a paternity test, I would get super offended and I would be upset about it. What choice are you giving them except to go ahead and go behind your back?
He's not wrong. The question, is this really my child? Isn't something women will ever have to worry about. For guys, you can never be 100% sure, regardless of how much you trust your partner. I've had this discussion with female friends in the past, and it was always interesting to me that I had to fight for them to see things from a guy's perspective. I mean, when it comes to women and their right to have an abortion, as a guy, I could easily say they shouldn't have the right to abort a child because it's not something I'll ever have to deal with, at least not physically. However, if someone was approaching me with this topic for the first time, the first thing I'd do is put myself in a woman's shoes, to at least try to see things from their perspective. Then, I'd give my answer. Abortion isn't something that's ever going to be a major issue for me, but I can see how it can be for many women. And while I have various views about it, ultimately, I think women should be able to do whatever they want with their bodies. So that's all I'm asking. Try to see things from a guy's point of view. Wanting a paternity test doesn't always have to be taken as a personal attack.
Well, the thing is, like, my expectation is that he trusts me.
Yeah, but I'm not sure that it's an indicator he doesn't.
Well, you think he would somebody would just get a paternity test even if he truly trusted you, he feel like fully trusts you, like that wouldn't make.
So, haven't you ever had intuitive doubts about things which were absurd or didn't make any sense or were kind of silly? Like, for instance, maybe you had a dream that your spouse had cheated on you, so you wake up and you start smacking them, right? And you call them names, and you're like, how? And he didn't even do anything, right? It was just like some stupid intuition that you had. And then you're like, okay, now hug me and tell me everything's okay. And he's like, I didn't even do anything. I was just sleeping, right? So it's you can have. I just find it kind of ironic that you can kind of have these silly intuitions, and you want those fears assuaged, but when somebody else might have what you consider to be silly intuitions and you can just put their mind at ease, somehow they're the bad guy, that's a trust issue. Why shouldn't the guy look at you, if you wake them up, for instance, and say, oh, I had a dream that you were cheating, now make me feel better? Why shouldn't he say, how could you not trust me? Oh, that's awful. You don't trust me? Now we have a big issue. Why are you having dreams like that? Wouldn't that be horrible to say?
A lot of people who put their trust in people get screwed over all the time. And as I keep saying, just because you trust someone, it doesn't mean they're deserving of that trust. Just the other day, I reacted to a paternity test video, and the woman was yelling, "Don't you trust me? Don't you trust me?" And in the end, the guy she was claiming to be the father of her child wasn't. If paternity tests were this really difficult or super expensive thing to do, I'd be more understanding. But they're not. They're super easy, barely an inconvenience.
In my opinion, I feel that intuition is very different from intrusive thoughts. So if there's no, I guess, inner knowing or maybe even a sense of rationality when it comes to trusting your partner, then you are just kind of feeding into your own ego or those intrusive thoughts that they're cheating on you, but they have given no reason for you to believe that.
So the thing is like, if that's the case, if you have an irrational fear that a partner could easily take care of for you, like for instance, you have a bad dream, a woman has a bad dream that the guy cheated. This is so common. In fact, there's entire studies on this phenomenon, entire studies on women having bad dreams and that they don't mean anything and that it's just a silly intuition. But the number one thing that they ask their partner to do when they have that bad dream is to comfort them. That's the number one thing they ask is, listen, I know that this isn't rational, but I'd like you to comfort me anyway.
Yeah.
And so now, can you imagine if you could say, okay, if we can swab your cheek right now, right, these dreams will go away for me forever. Wouldn't you want him to do that?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, right. I mean, wouldn't you want him to? Like, if you had dreams, recurring dreams, which you thought he was cheating, there was no evidence of cheating, right? It's all just inside your head. It's all just intuition. And all he had to do was swab his cheek, and he'd never have that dream again. Wouldn't you want him to?
I mean, I would self-regulate. You know, I feel like that's something I would deal with myself. If there are no signs, it's really just like random, and and I'm just like, oh. Like, and I don't see how that would come up if you don't see signs.
Okay, I'm going to end the video there. And while they do go on to talk some more, the conversation gets pretty stale, if I'm being honest. But if you want to see the rest of the clip, the link will be in the description. With people having affairs left, right, and center these days, I don't know why getting a paternity test isn't the standard. I mean, it shouldn't even be something couples have to talk about. It should just be a part of the process when having a baby. The world's changing at a faster rate every day, which some say is for the better and others say is for the worst. But if there are new technologies and laws that can help men and women better protect themselves, we should take advantage of them. This podcast would have been super interesting if they actually had a guy on there who raised a kid that he found out wasn't his later on. I wonder if that would have swayed anyone's opinion. What do you guys think? Let us know in the comments. I hope you enjoyed today's video on coffee and popcorn, and I can't wait to see you on the next one.